Okay, so I'm going to try to do videos for the different chapters that we go through in this class. Mostly this is for the benefit of the folks who are taking this class online, but I'm going to post them out where everybody can see them. So whether you're online or offline, you should be able to see these classes or these videos. But anyway, so we're going to start with chapter 1, which talks about digital literacy. And digital literacy is defined as involve having a current knowledge and understanding of computers, mobile devices, the internet, and related technologies. Now, the thing about this is like technology is changing. So, what is current today is going to be old stuff tomorrow. I mean, just in the time that I've been dealing with computers, the technology changes. Just every year, there's new stuff that comes out, and so it's really kind of hard to keep your head around it, considering how fast it changes. Just because I happen to be in the business of it, I'm a little bit, I have a little bit of an advantage there. But I mean, just 6 or 7 years ago, the tablet was not even a thing. And so now they're everywhere. So this is just an example of like how fast things change. So first off, we'll talk about what a computer is, because that's going to be mostly what we talk about. It says a computer is an electronic device operating under the control of instructions stored in its own memory. Now, these instructions are this is software. So when we talk about the computer instructions, we're talking about software. Now, the thing to remember about a computer is it actually is two parts. Both of these parts are very, very important because a computer couldn't do what it does with just one of these parts. You have hardware and you have software. Hardware, I always describe them as the things that you can kick. Hardware is things like a mouse, a keyboard, the actual PC itself, a hard drive, disk drive, um, CD drive. Those things are hardware, and then you have software like the operating system, Windows, Mac, um, or Office, Excel, Access. Those kinds of things are software. So when we talk about hardware and software, when it talks about the computers operating under the control of instructions stored in its own memory, that's hardware that's after operating under the control of software. So it says that it accepts data, processes data, and produces information as output. Now, it also does something else because it stores this data for later use. I don't know what that was. My computer kind of went a little bit crazy there. So, as an example, um, just a very very simple. Here's just a calculator. So we're gonna it says so first it accepts data. So we're gonna say 55 plus 45. So that's we put data in. We said 55 plus 45, and now we want to process it. So we want to find out what that equals. So we say equals, and it says 100. So this is the processes it. It added 55 plus 45. It processes. It gave us the result of 100. That's just simple computing as its basic level. So these are some of the different kinds of computers. We've seen most of these. This is a laptop. Here we have a tablet, PC. This is a Mac. This is an all-in-one desktop. So this would be like an iMac. And these are servers. You probably don't get to see these very often unless you get to go inside of a server room, because these things are generally behind a locked door. But that's a server. So again, this is another example of it. This example of how a computer inputs data, gives you output. So it's like we went to a restaurant, we ordered these items, it computed it and gave us the result of this. Now it also does, this is the other part that I was saying, storage and processes. Uh, it actually stores this information. So at the end of the day, we can find out what our total sales were for this restaurant. So that's the fourth part of a computer. It accepts data, it processes data, it produces a result, and it stores that information for later calculations if we need to. Okay, so two things that we're talking about first when it comes to hardware. Input devices. We're talking about input devices and output devices. Input devices are things that we use to actually put data into the computer. So these things, one of you may think makes sense, a keyboard. We're used to seeing these, and these are different kinds of keyboard. This one over here is a virtual keyboard. It's actually projected onto a flat surface. and so we can type onto a flat surface and it'll act like a regular keyboard. Another one is the mouse. The mouse is actually an input device because we use this thing to give the computer instructions. We click or we double click or we triple click, we drag. These things are actually giving instructions. So it is like input. We are using the mouse to give the computer instructions. Some other ones, input devices here, we have a mobile headset, we have a webcam. So we'll talk about this. So those are input devices. This is a scanner. Again, we're using a scanner. It takes pictures. It puts data into the computer. I said it takes a picture, which also means something like a webcam would, or I'm sorry, not a webcam, but a digital camera would also be an input device because we're using that to put pictures into the PC. Okay, an output device is any hardware component that conveys information from one computer or mobile device to one or more people. A printer is an output device that produces text and graphics on a physical medium such as paper. So a printer is a good output device. It takes information that's been produced by the computer and gives us that information. So a printer would be output. Another one that just kind of makes sense is just some sort of display. So these are different displays that are output. So a display is an output device too. Another one that you may be used to is speakers. Speakers actually give us output. And there's more than this. I mean, there's a lot of different devices. Okay, probably one of the most important things that's going on inside of a computer happens with memory. Computers operate in this weird language called binary. And binary is a language that just is, it operates in a language that consists of just two words. These words can change depending on the medium that you're using, but they can be a 1 or a 0. I mean, when it comes down to it, that's the end result. These 1s or 0s can be conveyed by an electric pulse, a magnetic charge, a flash of light, and now that's going over the medium. Like a Ethernet cable is using an electric charge. A hard drive is using a magnetic charge. Um, Fiber optics is using lack of light. In each of those, whether there's a flash of light or a charge or a positive magnetic pulse, a charge, that could be a 1, and the lack of light, no charge, a negative charge on a hard drive, that could be a 0. So it's 1s and 0s. That is the language. Now, this language is stored and moved around the computer all over the place. But where most of the stuff happens is in memory. Everything that's going on your computer at any particular time. As an example, this PowerPoint presentation that I'm working on, the operating system that's going on behind this calculator that I was working with earlier, all of that is happening in memory. There we go. All of that's happening in memory. So memory is where everything is going on your computer. That's where it's going on. It's going in memory. It's where everything happens. It says memory consists of electronic components that store instructions waiting to be executed and the data needed by those instructions. A computer keeps data, instructions, and information on a storage media. A storage device records, writes, and retrieves items to and from a storage media. So this is what we're talking about now, how data is stored on a computer. Memory is temporary storage, which means when you turn off your computer, everything that's stored in memory is gone. It will go away. More permanent storage are things like disk drives, hard drives, tape drives, cloud devices, those kinds of things. Those are more permanent storage, but a memory itself is temporary storage. So this is a hard disk. These are things that are going on inside of your computer. This is a hard disk. This is a hard disk is comparing two things. This is a hard disk like you're used to using with moving parts, and this is a solid state drive here. So this solid state drive has no moving parts. So what a solid state drive is just really a drive made out of memory as opposed to a drive made out of moving disk. So this memory would be like the same thing that's going on inside of your computer, or the same thing that's going on with a flash drive. Memory card goes inside of a camera. Here's an optical disc like a CD or Blu-ray, DVD, one of those kinds of things. And then we got a cloud storage. All those places that you can store data. Moving on, it seems like we're covering a lot, but this first chapter is just kind of a hodgepodge of like things that we're going to be going over the next 3 or 4 chapters. Okay, it says the internet is a worldwide collection of networks that connects millions of businesses, government agencies, institutions, educational institutions, and individuals. So the internet is just a huge network of all kinds of other networks. The mother of all networks, I guess you could say. Don't get confused with the internet and the World Wide Web. These are 2 different things. They're part of the same thing, but they're 2 actually different things. The internet is, when you talk about the internet, it's actually the backbone that all of the data is traveling over, moving things from one place to another. And this may or may not involve the web. The web is like when you go to Google, or when you go to eBay, or when you go to Amazon, or when you go to CNN's website, all of those things are web pages. And so those are like graphic pages that are there for you to read. It says the World Wide Web, or web for short, is a global library of information available to anyone connected on the internet. The web consists of a worldwide collection of electronic documents, each of which is called a web page. So you can go to CNN's web page, and then from that page you can go to other pages that are buried in CNN's web page. So you can go to like CNN and you can get the headlines, and then you can go to sports, or then you can go to weather. It says a website is a collection of related web pages. So CNN has a whole website, which is just a collection of various web pages. A web server is a computer that delivers requested web pages to your computer. So when you type in www.cnn.com, it goes out on the internet and it delivers that information back to you. And so you can see it through your browser. And this is the browser which you would use. So like this is, of course, the folks that are selling this textbook are advertising themselves, but this is a web browser, and it's showing you Cengage's own website. Search engine, something like Google. A search engine is software that finds websites, web pages, images and videos, news, maps, and other information related to a specific topic. So here we went to Google, and it's like golden retriever breeders. And so it's like, here's a list of golden retriever breeders that Google came up with. Online social network, you're used to those things like Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, all those things. Social network encourages members to share their interests, ideas, photos, music, and videos with other registered users. Social media, so you can actually be, carry on conversations, have friends, and everything else like that over the web. Digital safety and security, we're going to have a chapter on this where we talk about things like viruses, malware, spyware, those kinds of things. It's important that users protect your computer and mobile devices. Keep your virus software up to date at all times. Privacy. Make sure that you back up keep your password secure. Health concerns, we're worried about things like ergonomic, some folks are worried about the carpal tunnel, and make sure that they're sitting properly and those kinds of things, especially if you're a person who uses a computer all day long. You're sitting at a desk all day long staring into a screen. There's vision issues, there's issues with posture, there's issues with coordination of your hands. So these are things you need to be wary of. And environmental issues. A computer contains some pretty hazardous materials, so we talk about how to dispose of those things, dispose of computers properly. Green computing involves reducing. Green computers involve reducing the electricity consumed and environmental waste generated when using a computer. Strategies include recycling, using energy-efficient hardware and energy-saving features, regulating manufacturing processes, extending the life of computers, immediately donating or properly donating or properly disposing of replaced computers. So what we do with these things after we're done with them. Can we give them to someone else? Or do we dispose of them properly? I mean, you shouldn't put these things into a garbage can where they'll just end up in a landfill. Some of these chemicals can leak out and cause long-term problems. Getting back to the other thing, so we're talking about software. Software, also called a program, tells the computer what tasks to perform and how to perform them. There are different kinds of software. There's system software and application software. Here we have system software, which talks about an operating system. So this would be things like Windows, Mac OS. Those are the big ones right now. There's Linux is out there. So those are different kinds of system software. And then you also have some utility programs. And these are things like malware, spyware, virus scans, those kinds of things. And your computer comes with a few things like a disk defragmenter, a disk cleanup, those kinds of things. There's a like with Windows, there's a software firewall. Those are utility programs. And then we have application software. Application software is software that's designed to perform a specific task. So we have things like what we're going to discuss with this class is going to be like the Office suite, which is going to be Word, which we use to make documents, Excel for spreadsheets, PowerPoint for presentations, and Access is a database software. Okay, and then we're talking about installing apps. Installing is the process of setting up a software to work with a computer, printer, or other hardware. Once installed, you can run the application so that you can interact with it. You interact with the program or application through the use of its interface. So like right now, I have installed the Office suite, which gave me PowerPoint. I'm interacting with this software right now while I'm giving this presentation by clicking, and it's going from slide to slide. I'm also have another piece of software running, which is recording this whole presentation. So while I've got two pieces of software going on right now I'm using both to create this presentation, this video for you guys to watch. Software developer, sometimes called an application developer or computer programmer, someone who develops programs, writes apps, or writes these instructions that direct a computer or mobile device to process data and information. So just like before, this calculator, someone programmed this. Someone programmed this calculator to say, okay, when he types these things, perform the computation that he asked for. So when I type 55 plus 45, someone wrote this and said, okay, add these two things together and give him the result. So someone was a computer programmer who came up with even that basic piece of software. Communications and networks, again, we'll have a whole chapter talking about computers and the internet. In the course of a day, it's like you use information generated by one or more of these communication technologies, and it's going to list like a whole bunch of them. So these are like different things that are going on. Some of these are more so than are more in use than less. Like fax has kind of taken a backseat to email. Chat rooms is kind of like gone out because of social media, things like Twitter and Facebook. Instant messaging, we still use that a lot at work. Video conferences is a big thing. Voice over IP. Voice over IP is just a way of moving, instead of having your voice go over, instead of using a phone that's connected to a phone line, you're actually using a phone that's connected to the internet. So you're actually making your calls over the internet. So if you see some of these commercials sometimes about phone jack and voice jack or whatever that thing is called that you can plug into the back of your computer, that's actually voice over IP. Voicemails, again, it's something that's kind of going away because we've gotten texting is kind of like taking the place of voicemail. I know at work it's like we're actually talking about getting rid of voicemail off of our desk. Actually, we're talking about getting rid of a couple things. We're talking about getting rid of phones and voicemail because we kind of figured it's like we got computers, we can use voice over IP to actually make calls from one person to another. And since we're using IM or instant messaging at work, we really don't need voicemail. We can like leave messages and emails and those kinds of things. So again, this is like communication device is hardware capable of transferring items from computers and devices to transmission media and vice versa. So here we have a computer. This computer is connected to a modem. This modem has the ability to transfer this thing using some kind of signal, depending on the media that it's connected to. It may be connected to a phone line, which is going to use an audio signal. It may be connected to some sort of digital line that's going to use optics. There's different ways of doing it, but anyway, it's going to get up on the internet and eventually it's going to come down on the other side, wherever that's at. It may be, some business's website. It may be something else, and it's like it's going to move the data on their side. So it's like this is the internet. So we're moving our information, and it's going backwards and forwards. It's going our computer over the internet someplace else from something like, when you Googled golden retriever breeders, I typed in golden retriever breeders, I hit enter, and it went on to Google. That's where I needed to go. It sent this signal over the internet saying, hey, go to Google's site, look up golden retriever breeders, and send me the results back. And so once it figured it out, it sent those results back to my modem, and back to my computer. So this information is traveling backwards and forwards all the time. Some of the ways that you can connect, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular. So these are different ways that you can connect. This is a network. It's a connection of computers and devices connected together via communications devices and transmission media. So again, this is one of those things that we say the internet is a collection of networks. So like this could be the network that's in your house. You may have some sort of broadband line that comes into your house. It's connected to a router. The router has a switch in the back of it, and you're able to connect to one computer. You're able to connect to another computer. You're able to hook a printer into it. It's even got a wireless capability, so you're actually able to connect to a wireless laptop somewhere else in the house. So you've got different ways. So this could be your computer that's connected to, somehow this thing is connected to the internet, and then you're connected to the rest of the world. So this is like talking about the difference between home networks and business network. Home networks connect to the internet, share a single high-speed internet connection. You use it to access photos, music, videos, or other content. You share devices, so you can share printers, or you can even share media throughout your house. Play multiplayer games, connect game consoles to the internet, subscribe and use voice over IP. Business networks facilitate communications, share hardware, same ways we can share hardware on our local PCs. We can share hardware for business PCs too. In fact, it's more prominent because not everybody has a printer next to their desk. Everybody can share a printer. And this is the big one amongst businesses, share data, information, and software. So you can actually, that's just one of the things that make the businesses do. They share information amongst each other. So this is what's really important about having a business network. And that is it for this first chapter. Felt like I talked a lot, but try to do these things and not make the videos too long. So we'll see you in the next chapter. Have a good night.